For decades, Sam Elliott has been the embodiment of quiet strength, timeless masculinity, and old-school Hollywood class. With that unmistakable baritone voice, iconic mustache, and weathered cowboy charm, Elliott carved out a career that never relied on scandal, controversy, or flashy headlines. Instead, he became a symbol of consistency, both on screen and off. Now at 80, the legendary actor has finally opened up in a rare, reflective way, revealing the 4 actresses he quietly admired and secretly crushed on throughout his life and career. This isn't a story of tabloid romance or dramatic affairs. True to Sam Elliott's nature, these revelations are rooted in deep respect, admiration for talent, and the kind of old Hollywood appreciation that values grace, intelligence, and authenticity above all else. Each of these women represents something meaningful in Elliott's journey, not just as an actor, but as a man navigating fame, love, and longevity in an industry that rarely rewards restraint. Before diving into the 4 actresses, it's important to understand Sam Elliott himself. Born in Sacramento, California, Elliott came of age during a time when Hollywood icons were larger than life, yet strangely private. He idolized actors like John Wayne and Henry Fonda, men who let their work speak louder than their personal lives. That influence shaped Elliott's worldview. Unlike many of his contemporaries, Elliott never chased celebrity culture. He avoided gossip columns, kept his relationships out of the spotlight, and focused relentlessly on craft. His long, devoted marriage to actress Catherine Ross stands as one of Hollywood's rare success stories. And yet, like any man, Elliott admits he wasn't immune to admiration, especially when surrounded by remarkable women who redefined what it meant to be a leading lady. Long before Sam Elliott became a household name, Katharine Hepburn represented everything he admired in an actress and in a human being. Though they never worked together, Elliott has often spoken about the impact Hepburn had on him as a young man, finding his place in the world. Hepburn wasn't just beautiful, she was unapologetically herself. At a time when Hollywood expected women to conform, she wore pants, spoke her mind, and refused to compromise her independence. For Elliott, that kind of confidence was magnetic. He has described Hepburn as fearless in a way that had nothing to do with bravado. What drew him in wasn't romance in the conventional sense, but a profound respect. He admired how she commanded the screen without sacrificing authenticity. In his words, she represented a woman who didn't need permission to exist as she was. Elliott's crush on Hepburn was quiet, almost philosophical. She symbolized the kind of strength he aspired to honor in his own work. Strength without arrogance, confidence without cruelty. Jane Fonda is another name that comes up when Elliott reflects on the women who left a lasting impression on him. Unlike Hepburn, Fonda was very much a contemporary, someone Elliott observed navigating fame, activism, and reinvention in real time. What captivated him wasn't just her looks, though he freely admits she was stunning. It was her courage. Fonda never played it safe. She challenged political norms, reinvented her career multiple times, and refused to be boxed in by public opinion. Elliott has said that Jane Fonda represented a kind of bravery that few in Hollywood possessed. She stood for something, he once remarked, and she didn't flinch when people pushed back. That conviction resonated deeply with Elliott, who has always valued integrity over popularity. His crush on Fonda was rooted in admiration for her willingness to take risks, not just in roles, but in life. To him, she embodied the idea that beauty and substance were not mutually exclusive. Susan Sarandon entered Elliott's orbit later in his career, at a time when both actors were well-established and unafraid to speak their truths. Sarandon's blend of intelligence, sensuality, and sharp wit made her impossible to ignore. Elliott has spoken about Sarandon with a smile in his voice, describing her as dangerously smart. She wasn't content to simply play characters, she interrogated them, challenged scripts, and brought an edge that elevated every project she touched. What Elliott found most appealing was her fearlessness. Sarandon never deluded herself for mass appeal. She embraced complex roles, controversial opinions, and the reality of aging in Hollywood without apology. For Elliott, whose career has been defined by authenticity, Sarandon represented a kindred spirit. His crush wasn't about fantasy, it was about recognizing a woman who owned her power completely and invited the world to deal with it. No discussion of Sam Elliott's secret crushes would be complete without Catherine Ross, the woman who would eventually become his wife and life partner. Unlike the other women on this list, Ross wasn't just an admired figure from afar. She was the real thing. Elliott first noticed Ross long before they became a couple. She was already a star, celebrated for her roles in The Graduate and Butch Cassidy and The Sundance Kid. To Elliott, she represented the best of classic Hollywood femininity, graceful, grounded, and quietly powerful. He has admitted that he was intimidated by her at first. She was accomplished, respected, and seemingly out of reach. But that admiration never faded. When they finally worked together years later, the spark that Elliott had quietly carried transformed into something real. Their relationship wasn't rushed. It grew slowly, built on mutual respect and shared values. Elliott often says that Ross wasn't just his crush, she was his anchor. Their enduring marriage stands as proof that sometimes admiration evolves into something far deeper. What makes Sam Elliott's revelations so compelling isn't the names themselves, it's the pattern they reveal. Each woman he admired shared common traits: independence, intelligence, courage, and authenticity. None of them were defined solely by beauty or fame. These weren't fleeting infatuations. They were reflections of Elliott's values and the kind of world he hoped Hollywood could be. In an industry often driven by ego and excess, his crushes tell a story of restraint, respect, and emotional maturity. At 80, Sam Elliott occupies a rare space in entertainment. He's not chasing relevance or clinging to past glory. Instead, he's embraced aging as a privilege, not a limitation. His reflections on these women feel less like confessions and more like acknowledgments, a way of honoring the people who inspired him. In sharing these stories, Elliott reminds us that admiration doesn't always need to be acted upon to be meaningful. Sometimes, simply recognizing greatness in others shapes who we become. Sam Elliott's quiet revelations offer a refreshing contrast to modern celebrity culture. There are no scandals here, no shocking twists, just a thoughtful man looking back on a life shaped by remarkable women. At 80, Elliott isn't revealing secrets for attention. He's sharing memories, paying tribute, and reminding us that true crushes aren't about possession, they're about appreciation. And in that sense, these four actresses didn't just capture his admiration, they helped define the man he became. In a world obsessed with headlines, Sam Elliott's story proves that sometimes the most powerful revelations are the ones whispered with respect.